Welcome to Leonco, and on this video we'll be talking about giving a forward on a video that I did a couple of weeks ago about student loans. And I wanted to switch it up from our weekly videos and our weekly content, because I wanted to talk about something that I've been hearing a lot these past few days and past few weeks about student loans and problems with student loans, how to pay them and what to do with them. And I thought that I should share some knowledge and some experience that I've had throughout my educational life, my professional life about this topic. And I wanted to share with you guys so you guys have a different perspective and you guys can prepare for that moment if you choose to have a student loan. So the first thing that I want you to have in mind is that most of us in our growing up, when we finish our high school, when we finish our first education, our first formal education, we're pushed to make one of the most important decisions in our life. Maybe it's in when you're 18, 16, 17, at a very early age, we're expected to make one of the most important decisions in our lives, and that is to start preparing for a career, start an education profession, to start something that we want to do for the rest of our lives. And attached to that comes how to pay it. And for most people, taking a student loan and building debt is their main alternative, because that is what we're learned and that is what we're taught to do. So I wanted to share with you guys a tip, some knowledge that I've gathered throughout time, that is, at the moment when you choose that important decision of what you want to do in your career, you have to be very conscious of how the financial environment is and where you live. Where do you want to eventually work? What eventually do you want to do? If you want to start a company, if you want to work with someone, if you want to partner with an association, having that vision or having that goal is very important at the moment that you decide to start working or start working on your bachelor's degree, your master's degree, your doctor's. Maybe you want to do a licensing to do a certain job, but having that vision or having that idea of where you want to eventually go and where you want to be eventually work and have a life, it's one of the most important things. Because if you don't have that vision clearly of where you want to go, finishing that education with debt will be very hard. Let me explain. If you, most student loans come with maybe fluctuate from 10 maybe to $30,000 per semester per your 4 years in college. Maybe it could be less, maybe it could be a lot more, but in average that's a sort of the type of money that you would be borrowing to study. So let's say that you studied art, let's say you studied languages, maybe English, German, Latin, something like that. But you never took the time to figure out where you eventually want to work with. If you want to work with the government, if you want to work with an agency, you just studied your 4, maybe 5 years for that certain topic, and then graduated, and then you're going to start to find work because you never really envisioned where you want it to be. Well, that's a problem, because most of the time when we graduate, we don't end up working in our first option for work. It's not where we eventually want it to be. It's not our ideal job. It's not our dream job. Most of the time we have to work up to where we want to be. So if you end up studying your bachelor's, maybe your master's, and you have this amount of debt and you don't know how to start paying it, that's where the problem is. Because after a few days after you start studying, the debt collectors are going to ask for your payment for your student loans, and interest are going to build up. So eventually a $30,000 loan could build up to a $40,000, maybe a $50,000, depending on how are you paying it, the amount of times that you're doing between your payments, and how often do you do your payments. So a small amount of money can eventually build up to a drastic amount of money, and that could bring you a lot of depth in your life. So being knowledgeable and being particular, being smart in your decisions before you start to study, before you take a student loan, finding a good orientation, getting good information, asking all the questions that you need, and finding alternatives for student loans is one of the most important things that you should think about at the moment that you want to start building or start to work on your education, on your educational career. Because if you want to continue getting an education, not just your bachelor's, you want to do a master's, you want to do a PhD, and so on and so forth, getting the proper knowledge and getting the proper orientation for student loans and how can you get money from different types of revenue, from different streams. Maybe it could be scholarships, maybe it could be partnerships. Building that knowledge and getting different type of information of things, so where you can find the money to continue your studies, is one of the most important things, because it's very frustrating for you to end your education career and start searching for jobs on the things that you want to do and not finding jobs, and just having to convey, or just having to get the job that you haven't had, even if it's not what you study, if it's not what you work for, if it's not your dream job, just to pay debt that you built up throughout your college career and throughout your education, because you don't want to be overwhelmed at some point in your life. And for some people, this could be paying student loans for 30, maybe 40 years of their lives, just getting amount of money from their check, from a monthly check, just to pay the debt that they build up throughout their college career. So this is one of the topics that I wanted to share with you guys, for you guys to be more objective, to you guys to be more thoughtful at the moment that you want to take a student loan, because this is one of the topics that I've been subjected to in these couple of days, and there's a lot of worry and there's a lot of discomfort with this topic. So I hope you like the knowledge that I shared with you guys throughout this video. Leave us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what's your experience with your student loans, and let us know if you want us to continue talking about these topics about student loans and how can they affect your future, how can you be more smart at the time that you want to take a student loan. Just let us know if you would like this topic, if you would like to continue for us to be talking about this. So thank you for watching our video, and always remember to have that king mentality.